Well, welcome, Max and Tom, to the latest episode of the Road to Respair podcast. Thanks for coming on. How are you both?
Yeah, good. Sun is shining today in Berlin.
Yeah,
It's
it looks
nice.
like it. It's great and miserable here. I was hoping to get out for a ride later, but maybe not.
Would love to get out for a ride too, but too much pre-Christmas stress.
When do you finish?
Tomorrow, I'm driving back to the UK tomorrow.
You're driving?
Where?
We're driving with my girlfriend and her parents to England
Road trip.
for the first time.
And you're off to Mallorca with the family, right? Nice. So I thought we'd kind of try and start at the start, Max. So prior to Standert, your background was product design?
Well, yeah, a little bit of not really having a plan for what I want to do with my life at the first place. Was in the German army for a while, and then actually studied business administration with like focus on media. So I worked in a newspaper for a while, and then eventually sort of, found a calling for the creative work. Applying to University of Arts here in Berlin for product design studies. And yeah, it was a bit of a mix of maybe, my father he's an architect. So he actually worked also in the university here in Berlin for a good while as a tutor. And so he probably instilled some of that design interest into me. And then at the time, my then girlfriend was also in University of Arts in Munich. But so yeah, that pushed me kind of in that direction. And then having gotten in, I really have to say, like, I felt sort of at the right place for the first time.
Okay.
So really enjoyed that, studying design. And then, kind of a little bit next to uni, I worked as a bike messenger for a while, not very long, almost a year, to earn some money, and came in contact with this whole culture of messengers and the sort of looking at the bicycle as a utilitarian means to do your work at the same time as an object of design focused thinking, because messengers are passionate about their bikes, even though they might not be super fancy bikes, but they have to function really well. They have to be, and they have all these kind of needs for their bikes, and at the same time there's a big code around, or there used to be at the time a big code around how to say with that kind of part of this subculture. And so that's
very similar to the London courier scene as well. At the time, I was working at Tokyo Fixed,
right.
And sort of around 2010, 2012, I guess as like I felt at the time I was an older roadie and entering a whole new culture, a whole new world, and it was really, really cool to see. The bikes looked a certain way, everyone behaved a certain way, and there was just this scene that was completely alien to me. It was cool.
Yeah. So it was to me, and it's also, it used to be a very tight knit scene, and you'd have to earn this kind of thing, and but that is, I think, then what sort of put the bike into my universe as a design object. Before that, I was mainly mountain biking and enjoying that immensely, but didn't really look at my mountain bike as a design object. Then that sort of that thought grew of when you're in the course in the uni, the kind of the highest thing everybody aspires to, or at least in our university it was like that, is furniture design, right? So like, create the next Eames chair would be the big golden goal. But so I thought, okay, what will be the topic of my life as a designer? I love chairs, but I loved the bike more. So I thought, why not venture into this and try my hand at creating a bike, very simple city steel bike. That was again kind of the aesthetics of the messenger bikes, and also that was influenced heavily by Japanese bicycle culture, Keirin bike racing culture in Japan. So that was the first start of it all. So I thought, I'll design a bike for myself, basically, and at the same time loved the idea of having a shop to to be a bit of a hub for the messenger
This is
scene.
very similar to the Tokyo Fixed story as well.
Yeah. I mean, it was just the time as well. There were so many shops popping up. Then in the years later, also, this whole concept of having a bike shop with a cafe inside was fairly new. I was influenced by Look Mom No Hands in London.
Yeah.
We had one shop here in Berlin that was really like the base of the messenger scene, but it was in a very different part of the city than. So that was also kind of my thought then, to just add another element to this Berlin cultural scene and broaden it. Yeah, and really it didn't start with a plan in my head to make it up, which it has then become over the years.
How long did that take to develop? From going from like the cafe culture to designing bikes, creating a brand, how long did it take you to develop into not what you are today, but for you to come up with Standert and decide that you wanted to create sort of, I guess, cool bikes?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was a slow development. At the same time, it was always there in a way. So when we started the shop, we had the first Standert frame. We sold it we built them custom, the bikes in the shop. It was a bike shop with a house brand, which was also fairly common back then, right?
Yeah.
Their own frames. And even like before that whole fixed gear thing, it used to be a thing that like shops had their own bike brands, also in the road bike area. So yeah, I would say for the first 3 years, maybe we looked at the whole thing more as a bike shop with our own kind of house brand. And we also sold other brands. We had Ritter bikes in the shop back then. And then there was a very specific moment where my colleague Bennett really said to me, like, I don't remember the setting. I think it was over lunch or something. Like, we have something here. I think we should stop with all these distractions, basically, and
Just focus
on Standert and make this a brand, like make this a bike company. So yeah, it wasn't actually my idea, really.
So now you're like, I mean, you've like really established yourselves as this global brand, and you've come from like that cafe culture scene. Do you miss that at all now? Do you still get the opportunity to sort of chill out a little bit and look back at those days when you're in like the cafe and was it just all consuming?
It's a little bit like with what you say about having children, small children, small problems, bigger children, bigger problems. I don't idolize that time. It was tough as it was. Originally, my idea when I opened the shop was to take a year of sort of hiatus from uni and then go back to studying and have the shop, run by my employees or something. Of course, that was wildly underestimating what it takes to just get the daily business running. So I would say, as with life, it grows in complexity ever. I mean, until maybe 50, and then hopefully it'll go backwards a little bit. Because then then you have kids, then you have more responsibility. You have more employees. So there's often enough this longing for a simpler time, but I look at it with, I think, a healthy understanding of that those simpler times weren't actually always much simpler. You just had different kinds of problems, maybe, or struggles. So yeah, I mean, going back to just having a bike shop with a little cafe, how do you think about it? Tom actually joined us when we were still in our original space.
So me and Tom, we never met, but probably before he started with you guys, he sent me his CV. Do you remember? So I had a travel company, and prior to
I've heard this.
Prior to starting, travel was coming to an end for me because of like Brexit and COVID and all those things. And at the time, I was kind of like a one-man band and didn't really have capacity to take anyone on full time. But I remember when I built my, I'm going to apologize straight away for any mispronunciations. And if I butcher the names of any of the bikes or anything, please forgive me. But when I built my eggshots, I emailed in, or I can't remember if I emailed or messaged through Instagram. And I got a response and it said, "Oh, hi, Nick. You probably don't remember me. My name's Tom. I sent my CV as a tour guide." So we kind of reconnected through that, I guess. I can't remember when that was. I think.
Probably around 2015 or 16.
Yeah.
16 because I just started road cycling in 2015, or I got back into cycling. And at that point in Berlin, I was tour guiding, and then me and my buddy, we'd already had our first trip to Girona, I think in the winter of 26 or 15, 20, winter of 15, 16. Yeah, and then I think I came across Summit or whatever, and I was like, wow, that looks like a sick job. I should definitely, like I'm a tour guide, but I like cycling now.
Yeah.
That seems like the dream job.
It is and it isn't. It's like, it's one of those things where you can make it look really, really cool on Instagram and everyone sees you riding in the mountains every day. But what you don't show them is that you're doing people's laundry at 6 a.m. in the morning and sailing them until midnight. And you're doing that for like 3 months, and then driving from Girona to Switzerland and then down to Tuscany. And yeah, it was pretty brutal, but I do miss it.
Definitely adjusted my opinion of whether that is a dream job or not. I think I also tried to do kind of like, road bike tours in Berlin as well, but it wasn't very successful. And I think, like you said, it looks nice from afar, or it looks nice to be a guest upon. To do the job is not necessarily just like having a nice ride in the mountains every day.
And one of the things that seems to be a real thread through what you guys do is like community and culture. So you've almost built like this, I guess, cult-like following. I guess that's your role now, Tom, isn't it? Your sort of community and hosting events.
Yeah.
There's a Wednesday shop ride, isn't there? Or shop ride.
We have a few shop rides still. Yeah, so I take care of like all brand activation, community events, pop-ups, and sort of some B2B stuff as well now. But
From the outside, that probably looks a little bit like the guiding, where you can make it look really, really cool, but you're not really showing people the grind that goes into it.
Behind the scenes, no. But I guess I'm only working at Standert because of the community that Standert had already. When I got back into cycling again, also I think in 2016, after having been to Girona and seeing sort of where there were group rides and whatever, I tried to find group rides in Berlin, and I came across Standert Cycling Cafe in Mitte, and then not long afterwards I came on the first ride. It was still winter. I think there was like 3 guys on it. But yeah, quickly once the season started getting going again, there was our Thursday night drop ride Feierabendwunder, which had already been established at this point. And before that, I mean, when I started joining the Standert rides, like then Max and Maxa were all on them regularly, or leading the rides as well. Yeah, and I kind of just became friends with the guys. And after being on holiday with Maxa, with some mutual friends, he said that they were looking for more people as Standert was kind of getting bigger, and I was like, yeah, sign me up. And I came for a meeting right after the holiday, I think.
Are you still getting to ride, Max? Or have you got that sort of standard bike industry?
We had my worst year of riding. Looking back at 25, it's pretty bleak. Yeah, no, it was a crazy year. We moved house twice, like on a private level. Where I have two boys. They are 6 and 8 years old. They beautiful kids, but definitely a handful. Yeah, riding time is very limited at the moment. That's kind of like the way it always goes as well, right? With going to work in an area that is your hobby as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it does be. I mean, it is. I've always found it as well. Sometimes I just need to shut everything off and not look at a bike, because you spend all day, every day involved, and it's all anyone ever asks you about. So sometimes it's just nice to just take a break from the bike, not ride for a bit, or do something different for a little while. It's not going anywhere. Yeah, as long as you get to go out from time to time, it's still nice. There's so many people in the bike industry that their cycling suffers because they're in the bike industry. So yeah,
it's just the time. It's just a time matter. You can always carve out a little bit out of your day, but just the enjoyment of going for a longer ride is a bit tempered also with coming home basically to just unwind, because then it's full on family action. Yeah, so I currently try and stay active with like running.
That seems to be normal as well.
Yeah. Just like it takes so much less time. That's kind of the thing. Like sometimes, go on the trainer, on the rollers.
Was there anything you thought would be really, really easy, like no brainer, I can do this really easily, that actually turned into a bit of a nightmare when you first started?
Yes. Well, I have to say I had a really long and looking back, dumb learning curve of thinking that I could do everything myself, including, things that I'm really not good at, like finance or bookkeeping, or actually even in the very beginning, it's already started with me thinking that I could run the bike shop and the cafe sort of simultaneously. And 2 days in, the cafe was run by my now wife, back then girlfriend, who basically saved my ass because of course I couldn't. So yeah, mainly learning that it takes a team.
Are you quite good at delegating, or do you kind of try and hold on to everything? You quite good at giving the team?
I hope I've become much better at like delegating responsibilities and also letting people really own the stuff. It's such a difficult transition also from being a team of like 3 people, 5 people, 7 people that all sit in the same room, or in the work for the first, I don't know how long, until 2018, so 6 years. All of Standert was working in the shop. In that, like, we had in the very beginning, we had our office in the basement, basically, like souterrain, sort of down the stairs where the toilets were. There were 2 little rooms where we had 4 desks, and then we moved up we made the shop a little bit smaller and moved up into the shop when we became like one more person. Communication and not being up to speed on everything has changed, of course, with growing team and also being in several locations. Then we moved the office into a separate location from the shop, and then we had the workshop and the logistics, the storage for the bike building again in a different location. So then that was all that needed structure and letting go of controlling everything.
And you've stuck to your guns with regards to materials that you use, so both aluminium and steel. What is it about them? Is it the ride? Is it the aesthetic? What is it about metal that's made you kind of stick to using that and not venturing into black plastic?
Yeah. Originally, when we started with metal, it was due to my personal taste of aesthetics and also the feel of the material. So thanks. Yeah, the material. So when we started, it was due to personal taste, and then we stuck with it, I guess, for several reasons. One was being able to sort of develop and iterate on frames much faster and at a much cost effective than had we gone into carbon. So one thing that was really, really clear from the beginning was that we wouldn't stick our logo onto a white label open mold frame or something. So all the frames that we have ever made are really developed from scratch in that was also, of course, much, much more doable with metal, because you can just go to the frame builder and give him 3 different geometries, and he'll build those 3 bikes for you to test.
Yeah.
Where if you want to make a mold for each of these, that's impossible, right? With also the resources that we had. And then, still over time, sort of in the company also, and me personally, there was always a little bit of a detest of carbon as a frame material, but just this feel of this, the resonance of the desirable to me and also to the rest of the company. We have asked the question internally, actually, loads of times over the years, should we, eventually over time, this limitation, of course, kind of went away. We could have by now developed a carbon bike, original design carbon bike, but yeah, then by then everybody was kind of in this pride of, we're the metal guys. That's what we do. We want to make the best aluminium bike out there, which is also if you a company our size with our resources, if we say we'll make the best carbon bike out there, that's not going to happen, right? But I think, like, I don't know, I would almost go as far and claim that we have the best aluminium race bike out there.
It feels like every few years, the big brands will jump on it. You've got the Cannondale CADs and you've got the LA Sprint and all these things, and they toy with it, but they don't really see it or act on it as a serious category. And you guys have really stuck to it. And the current crop of bikes, the tech that's involved in the tubing on those is like insane. It's not just, we're seeing aero profiles and 3D printing and it's serious tech in an aluminium frame. It only feels like it's you guys that are really pursuing that now, I guess. I guess moving on slightly from some of the tech stuff and where the industry currently seems to be, the buzzword at the moment is endurance. We seem to have seen more and more articles online about endurance bike, and endurance is the next big thing. All the online magazines seem to be talking about it more than they are, say, gravel or road. It's not a new thing for you guys. The metal wider tires, the Fad Finder for memes was probably one of the first. Endurance bikes tended to be just short top tubes and tall head tubes, and just about like rider position as opposed to ride quality. And the Fad Finder comes along, and all of a sudden you've got this bike that can just do like everything, almost anywhere. I say almost anywhere because I took mine up to the Lake District and was riding mountain bike descents, and maybe I could have done with a little bit more. I could have done with a mountain bike, it turns out. But I've used that bike for everything from just like long rides through to bike packing, through to I managed to get some 38s on it. And that's now been around for a few years ahead of the noise that the industry is currently telling us we all need. Where and how why did you think that was something that was needed?
Pathfinder, yeah.
For me, it's one of the most interesting bikes that you've come up with.
Yeah. It's taken, to be entirely honest, when we started it, it was meant as a like sort of cross bike, so 33 mil tire dish, like, gravel didn't exist as a category, but cross. When we would now say, let's go for a gravel ride, then we used to say for the same kind of ride that we do in Berlin, let's go for a cross ride, because that was the category of tires also that, when you look at 33s now, it's so funny, like, bikes are basically on 33s. Back then they were big tires, right? Yeah, that's the Pathfinder. We had the Triebwerk, which was the road version, the steel kind of, not race bike, but sport geometry.
For me, that was a really classy looking bike. It was a proper sort of gentleman's bike.
Yeah, I do think the Triebwerk was a pretty how do you say, like instant classic in a way. Now I'm almost sad about the fact that you have to mostly integrate cables now, because it did look much better with a head tube and external cup Chris King headset and everything. Yeah, but the Pathfinder was the pendant to the Triebwerk, like geometry, super sporty, because it was also not a competition cross bike.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, this bike has been all kinds of things that without majorly changing it. It became our gravel bike once discussion. It became our all road, kind of where it sits now, and it's perfectly suited to that. And we just, I don't know, it was by pure luck that we had this bike that could be all those things without needing like a very substantial change. So, because the geometry is always like here that it's not an endurance bike per se, and that it's not short top tube, high head tube, but it's very confidence inspiring on rougher sections. So it's great for bad road conditions as well as easy off-road conditions. So it's just, I think, pretty much a great golden middle. Yeah.
move away. Well, I think what we needed to do is change the tires over the years, coating and whatnot. But other than that, the frame has pretty much stayed the same. It's kind of adapted it to times.
I mean, I found with the Pathfinder, like two sets of wheels, and like you're away. It's like you can do so much on it. I think probably a lot of people probably get more excited about a lot of your other bikes, but for me, that's the one. I think kind of rider I am, and the sort of stuff I like to do.
It's the same for me, actually. Out of our whole lineup, also at the point that I am in my cycling life, is like all I really need is the fast filler.
Yeah, it's a real sort of. I mean, I was going to ask you later on as one of the outro questions. If you only had one bike, what would it be? But I guess you've just answered it.
Yeah, definitely.
And you've also, am I right in thinking you've now moved into components as well? So you're doing your own components. Is it LC components?
Yeah. It's not a major, like we're now launching our own real full lineup of components. It's more just like making matching components to our new road platform. You're giving that like a bit of a fun branding, as we like to do. So yeah, it's not like a big venture into components.
Yeah.
Kind of like a bit of a rebranding, I guess, as well.
Okay.
We used to do them back in the day for the commuters and stuff. We had like sort of Lucky Cat LC components on them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we've always had a nod to it, I guess, like any Lucky Cat edition or for the current bikes.
And where do you see the brand going next? So is it a moment of just consolidation, or are you thinking there's other genres, riding styles? What's next?
I feel for the moment we are really complete in our life. Just put our focus onto kind of creating the next generation of, for example, the road race frame, rather than venturing into new categories. It is definitely a bit of a consolidation time. I mean,
You've weathered some challenging times with COVID and all sorts, and come out.
yeah,
I mean, you've come out
it's been a crazy roller
pretty
coaster
strong from it.
Yeah. It's been a crazy roller coaster the last 5 years almost now. Yeah. COVID hit us really. I always say COVID for us was a very two-sided medallion, because on the one hand, of course, we grew demand was so massive. We sold out of everything that we had in a matter of weeks, basically. But at the same time, we weren't, of course, able to fulfill on this grown demand, because we didn't have the resources and the planning horizon and basically just the capabilities of suddenly growing our stock in that way, which in the hindsight was a lucky thing as well, because we didn't overstock massively like other brands did. And yeah, then of course now the last 2 years have been we're in the storm of huge discounting battle with the big brands trying to get rid of their surplus inventory, demand plummeting, crisis after crisis, international. Germany is in a recession for the 3rd year now. It's been definitely very challenging times, and we've had to really weather the storm, even though we see great development kind of with the brand. And also I think we've been to do some good moves at the same time. But yeah, now it's definitely not a time for anyone, I think, to think like full on, we're going to go all into new stuff and invest heavily. We don't have any cash to invest heavily.
Well, I guess, like, from my perspective as an older gentleman who's been around cycling for quite some time, the post-pandemic cyclists, London has changed so much, and you can go to like certain cafes, or whether it's Regent's Park, Richmond Park. The kind of people you see riding bikes now are very different to people who were riding bikes even back in 2018, 2019. And there's like a really cool, fresh. It seems to be a lot of, I'm not going to say design driven, like people are very conscious about what they ride, how they ride, and how they look. Wasn't around 10 years ago. I guess because of the way that your background and the kind of bikes and the kind of price points, like it does seem to have been like not a perfect storm, but it's been really nice seeing the way that cycling has developed and the whole community and people that have come into it and are coming into it still. They're after something different, and you guys seem to be like right there with it. So it seems to have been almost perfect timing, I guess.
I mean, I hope that we have a little part in it as you know, kind of like a egg and hen thing. The brands that have built this, Rafa at the foremost before our time, even. Yeah, I mean, I would hope that we're you know not there to reap the spoils, but that we're actually doing our part in building this, because it's a little bit of our sort of mission statement is to try and make cycling so cool, if you will, like make it look good, make it feel good, make it fun, make it a lifestyle, make it a subculture that people want to be part of, in order to grow the sport, or to have more people on bikes, right? Whether that be commuting or cycling, or sport, or just recreational. So yeah, I like to think that we're not just there for it, but that we're kind of actively helping building it in our little way. We're not.
Yeah, no, I think you can definitely take credit for where cycling is, and the kind of people, like, you're helping draw people in that 10 years ago would have felt either intimidated, or it wasn't cool, or
Isn't it kind of like
wasn't accessible.
It's a bit of a paradox, really. I think that like cool brands like like Rafa or whoever else making making more aesthetically pleasing, or like aesthetically attractive items to make cycling look cooler. We often get the bad rep of being like too exclusive or not inclusive and whatever. But in reality, by making cycling cooler, more attractive to outsiders, we're being more inclusive and trying to get new people into the sport, right? Because before, people weren't really interested because it wasn't that cool. People didn't know anything about it. It looked weird, and by making kind of like, either nice clothing or nicer looking bikes that non-cyclists can get down with.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of came up in the last episode with Camille McMillan. So Camille's a photographer who's been around for quite some time. Back in prior to his photography, cycling was very much sunflower fields and the Tour de France and Euro Fluoro sponsors everywhere. Just race. And then he, and along with a couple of others, kind of fought against that aesthetic, and they turned cycling into art. So their photography was really stylistic. They helped create that sort of black and white, grainy, cool, the complete opposite of what cycling had been. And then I think maybe in the last 5 years, that's only accelerated through brands like yourselves and Rafa, I'm going to say MAP. There's lots of really cool brands out there that are actually making really good products as well. And you guys are very much a part of that. And I think like the way that you've captured the culture, you've made cycling, it is cool. And I said, stand up to these cafes at the weekend and whatever, and just the crowds that we see that we didn't see before. It's not just London. I guess I'm in the London bubble, but I see it in so many different cities around the world now, where there's all these little communities and cultures, and people want to be a part of thing, and they just want to ride their bikes, and it's really, really cool. It's taken a long time.
And there's always this aspect of you, me. We start at a certain point in time, and we can be interested in the history, but we're also ignorant, of course, of a lot of things that came before us. And there's always people that feel offended by this notion of I don't know, like cycling was made cool at a certain point, and they say, well, cycling was fucking cool in the 90s and the 80s as well.
Yeah.
It was there, and it's always been the greatest sport on the planet. So I just want to like maybe also clarify that is not what we're saying. We're not saying like
it wasn't
what was there before was wrong in any way. It's just it's just always developing, right? And then cool is always very, very,
very subjective. Like what I think is cool probably isn't what all those kids at the cafes think is cool, and vice versa.
There's, I absolutely see how people can be thinking that what we're doing or what those crowds are now doing is everything but cool. Is some hipsters trying to be the real thing, but but in the end, I think the real thing doesn't exist, and you're always part of a certain outlook at things. And neither is right or wrong. So we're just, we're doing our thing.
You're doing it very, very well.
And we're helping a little bit in getting more people on bikes that like the aesthetic that we like.
Yeah. And I think it's just been a really cool journey to watch. And I guess to be a part of as well. I think every bike of yours that I've ridden and swung my leg over, I felt immediately comfortable on. It's. I think I said it to you previously. Actually, when I first looked at, I'm a little bit of a tangent here, I guess, but bear with me. When I first looked at the lineup of bikes and like that off-road road and the gravel cross all road, and you guys had something for in all those categories. And initially I'm going to say I was a bit skeptical. And I was like, who really, do we really need this many categories? And then I actually rode them all and I'm like, they are all different and they all do different things and they all work. And the geometry on all of them was exactly what I wanted it to be. I rode the Fad Finder.
Thanks for being part of the journey. Also, I guess you're it's not a small thing. Also, that you did in beer for us, which is being a local facilitator of this community that we're fostering in Berlin, and of course we can't foster it ourselves elsewhere. Or we're relying on kind of people like you, friends to the brand, people that have tried the product and like the product and have a personal relationship also to us, because we're still, of course, in that state where it's just absolutely mandatory that we know each other personally with the people that are our ambassadors in the local scene.
It feels like you're still a very, very approachable brand. Hopefully hopefully it stays that way. Like with all success,
I don't think it's going to go
in 4 or 5 years time or 10 years time. Like the approachability of you guys, like hopefully that and the culture and the community stays as like a real key to it.
As long as Tom owns that,
no pressure.
It's going to be like that. No, absolutely. I don't see this going anywhere because, it's also not like we're on a, exploding growth path or anything. We're just like, we're going to stay where we are for the foreseeable future.
Amazing. All right, then. Look, thanks very much for coming on.
Thanks.
And it was great to see you. I guess have a brilliant festive break. Yeah, hopefully either next time you're in London or if I ever get to Berlin, we can hook up.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Hopefully get some rides in over the Christmas break.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. All right, guys.
Thanks very much,
Take
Nick.
care. Thanks a lot.